Sometimes the heart speaks in silence, and the man himself doesn't even realize what it's saying. But Carl Jung believed the unconscious always leaks the truth. If he does this one thing, even just once, it's not just attraction, it's something deeper. Something he might not even be aware of yet. But you can see it, you can feel it. And once you recognize this hidden sign, you'll never doubt how he truly feels again. This is where most women get confused. They think, if he loved me, wouldn't he just say it? But love, especially for a man who's not fully conscious of it yet, doesn't show up as perfect words. It shows up in contradiction, in tension, in him wrestling between the person he's always been and the man he's becoming because of you. Jung would say the stronger the emotional charge, the deeper the connection to the unconscious. So when he pulls back after a moment of closeness, when he seems overwhelmed or even irritable for no reason, don't take it personally. That's his psyche reacting to something it hasn't processed yet. You've triggered something in him, something sacred, and that scares the part of him still clinging to control. The truth, he's more in love with you than he knows, not more in love than he shows, more than he knows. That's the difference. And if you're patient enough, grounded enough, to not demand answers, but to see the deeper signs, you'll witness the quiet unfolding of a man awakening to his own feelings. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it's subtle, it's real. And once he realizes what you already sensed, everything changes. Because love like this doesn't start with a confession. It starts with a shift in his eyes, in his energy, in the way he starts to treat you without even realizing it. Because when the unconscious mind begins to speak, it doesn't use logic. It uses symbols, gestures, timings, energy. And love, real love, always begins in the unconscious. Jung believed that every relationship we attract mirrors a part of ourselves. So when a man is drawn to you, beyond reason, beyond explanation, it's not just desire, it's recognition. You represent a part of him he hasn't met yet, but needs to. That's why he may look at you with a strange softness and not know why. That's why he may try to stay away, but can't. He's not running from you. He's running from what you bring out in him. His anima, the feminine side of his psyche, is awakening. And if you've touched that part, even unintentionally, he'll never see you the same again. And maybe neither will you. You'll see the moment when his words don't match his energy, and you'll trust the energy. You'll hear the silence between his sentences and feel the truth hiding there. You'll notice how he doesn't want to let go when he hugs you. Not because it's physical, but because it's safe. It's rare, and it terrifies him. This isn't about chasing a man. This is about understanding how real connection works. It doesn't always knock on the door. Sometimes it slips in through the back. Through his laugh, his hesitation, his protectiveness, his eyes that look away too fast. The moment you see that, the real him, you've already touched something he can't forget. And whether he admits it now, later, or never, the truth remains, he's more in love with you than he knows. And the soul, once awakened, can't unsee what it has found. And from that moment on, no matter how far he runs, something inside him is tethered to you. Not in a way that traps him, but in a way that transforms him. Because now, he's not just drawn to your presence, he's haunted by your essence. The version of himself that only exists when he's with you. The peace, the rawness, the feeling of finally being seen. Not for what he projects, but for who he truly is underneath it all. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And that's what's happening here. He doesn't yet know why he thinks about you at night, why he gets quiet when your name comes up, why your smile lingers in his mind longer than it should. But fate, or rather the unconscious, is already at work. You've entered his inner world, not through seduction, not through persuasion, but through presence, through truth, through the one thing a man can't fake, emotional resonance. And slowly, without even realizing it, he begins to orbit your energy. He listens differently, he watches more closely, he feels more deeply, and yet he still might not understand. That's okay. Let him unravel in his own time, because when a man finally catches up to what his heart already knows, when the unconscious becomes conscious, he won't just realize he's in love. He'll wonder how he ever lived without knowing it. And that's the sign, not when he says the words, but when his entire being begins to change in your presence, not to impress you, but because being near you brings him home to himself. That's not romance. That's transformation. That's not just chemistry. That's alchemy. You see, we live in a world where people are obsessed with the obvious. If he texts you back, if he says the right words, if he makes a big gesture. But love doesn't always speak the language of the surface. Real love, the kind that catches a man off guard, often enters like a whisper, not a roar. That's why most miss it. They want clarity, labels, certainty. But love, especially at the unconscious level, is rarely so clean. It starts as confusion, as hesitation, as an energy that lingers, even when the logic says it shouldn't. Carl Jung understood this better than anyone. He didn't just study the mind, he studied the soul. And he believed that the unconscious is constantly working to unite us with the parts of ourselves that are hidden, buried, or denied. In a man, that includes his emotional vulnerability, his tenderness, his longing to be seen not for what he achieves, but for who he is. And when a woman touches that place in him, not by force, but by simply being, everything starts to shift. At first, it might look like nothing has changed. He still jokes the same way. He still talks about work. He still acts like he's got it all together. But if you watch closely, there are cracks forming in the mask. A softening in his voice when he says your name. A pause when he's about to leave your presence, as if something inside him wants to stay just a little longer. And here's the sign: he starts protecting your energy, even when he doesn't realize it. He notices when you're tired. He pays attention to what makes you laugh. He becomes strangely attentive, not to control you, but because something in him is drawn to your light. He may not even realize why he's doing it, but he's already moved, already marked. This is not a man who's mastered love. This is a man being changed by it. He won't say he loves you yet. He may not even admit he's falling, but his soul has already chosen. And the rest of him, his mind, his ego, his pride, is trying to catch up. Sometimes he'll pull away, go quiet, retreat into himself, not because he's lost interest, but because something is waking up in him that he doesn't yet have words for. Don't chase him when this happens. Don't beg for explanations. Just observe. Let him wrestle. Let him breathe. Because real connection doesn't need to be chased. It needs to be recognized. When he returns, he might seem different, quieter, more reflective. He may not say it, but he feels it, the weight of what you mean to him. And though he may try to brush it off, make jokes, or keep things light, something in his energy won't lie. Jung said the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. This is what's happening. Your presence is not just comforting, it's alchemical. You are activating a process in him he didn't even know he needed. and he won't be able to forget it. You'll notice how he lingers on old memories of the two of you, how he brings up things you thought he forgot, how he wants to know your thoughts on deeper matters, life, purpose, pain. These are not just conversations. These are windows into his evolving soul. And you're the mirror showing him who he's becoming. He may struggle with it. He may try to maintain control, to stay guarded. But once a man has truly felt you on a soul level, nothing else will quite satisfy. Not other women, not distractions, not even distance. He might try to date someone else, but she won't make him feel the same peace. He might throw himself into work, but it won't silence the ache, because what you gave him wasn't performance. It wasn't drama. It wasn't a high. It was stillness. It was truth. And that is unforgettable. Eventually, something inside him breaks open. Maybe it's in the middle of the night. Maybe it's after a dream. Maybe it's while hearing a song that reminds him of you. But he feels it. Raw, undeniable love. Not just desire, not just attachment. Love. Not the kind he can explain, the kind that redefines him. That's when he'll reach out, maybe not with the perfect words, but with presence. Maybe he won't say, "I love you," yet, but his eyes will, his tone will, his silence will. And when he does, it won't be the beginning, it will be the awakening. Because the truth is, he's been in love with you all along. He just didn't know how to name it. Not until now. So many women ask, if he feels it, why doesn't he say it? But Jung would tell you, it's not that simple. The masculine psyche, especially in a man who hasn't yet faced his own emotional depths, often hides from the very thing it craves. Love is not just a feeling. For a man, real love is a threat to the identity he's built to survive. You didn't just enter his heart, you disturbed his structure, you woke him up. And awakening, for anyone, is uncomfortable. There are moments he feels fully alive when he's with you. More present, more clear, more seen. And then, just as quickly, he shuts down. He may avoid eye contact. He may distract himself with work, with friends, with meaningless things. That's not a sign he doesn't care. That's a sign the connection touched something real. And when something is real, it creates pressure, psychological pressure, soul-level tension. Jung called this the individuation process, the journey of becoming whole, and it always begins with conflict. He may feel torn between who he thought he was and who he is with you. You didn't just stir desire, you stirred evolution, and no evolution comes without resistance. You must understand, he doesn't fear you, he fears what you represent. You represent depth, emotion, surrender. And for a man who's spent his life mastering logic, building strength, and protecting vulnerability, that feels like danger. But the paradox is, that's also exactly what his soul has been seeking. That's the power of the feminine, not because you chase, not because you convince, but because you invite. You open the door to something ancient inside him. The archetype of the lover, the protector, the man who leads not with control, but with presence. And when he starts leaning into that version of himself, that's the true sign he's falling. He starts doing things that don't make sense to him, calling you just to hear your voice, remembering the little things you said weeks ago, wanting to show up for you in quiet ways, not to win you over, but because it gives him peace. Because giving to you doesn't feel like a task, it feels like truth. And even if he doesn't fully understand it yet, his behavior is already changing. That's what most people don't get. Love isn't about what someone says. It's about who they become around you. If he starts becoming more grounded, more honest, more emotionally present, not just with you, but with himself, that's not an accident. That's a response to real connection. It's not flattery, it's transformation. At this stage, he might still be fighting it. He might say he's not ready. He might claim he doesn't want anything serious. But then, he acts like he already is in something serious. He checks on you. He protects your name. He starts to prioritize your peace. It's confusing, but only on the surface, because his unconscious already knows the truth. He loves you. He just doesn't know what to do with that love yet. And this is where many women break the moment. They demand clarity too soon. They try to force the feeling into a shape it's not ready to take. But the feminine gift is patience, not passivity, but deep knowing. The ability to recognize the seed before it blooms. The ability to trust the signs, even before the words arrive. Because if you can hold that space, if you can stay rooted in your own worth without trying to rush the process, he will eventually catch up, not because you chased him, but because his soul has no choice. He'll start dreaming of you. He'll see you in places you've never been. He'll feel you in quiet moments. Why? Because love that moves the soul leaves echoes. It doesn't disappear. It lingers in the in-between, in the pauses, in the things left unsaid. And eventually, he'll surrender. Maybe slowly, maybe clumsily, maybe not all at once. But when he does, it won't be out of fear. It will be from the most honest place a man can love from. Not his ego, not his wounds, but his center. The truth is, you didn't fall into his life by accident. You were a mirror, a guide, a reminder, not of what he lacked, but of what he buried. And now, he's more in love with you than he knows. But soon, he'll know. And when he does, when he finally lets that truth rise to the surface, don't be surprised if he doesn't say it with grand gestures or poetic words. He'll show it in how he listens, in how he stays, in how he begins to protect your soul like it's a part of his own. Because in a way it is.